Mm-mm.
Silent all around the line. If they get the chance, they were born in bloody circumstance. To go, leave me, run like you've never run before. From the underground, given room to breathe, not but be drowned. So die if you get the chance. Better men than you've been left to stand. So go, leave me, run like you've never run before. I've seen the worst, and there is nothing left for me to hate, so I can lay me down, my brothers, on the ground. I bled today until Coyote comes to raise me up and carries me.
Hello and welcome to the Scottish Rugby Blog podcast. We've been already told off by our long-time host, Cammy Black. As you'll see, the cats at a rave have returned. I am John Anderson. I'm here filling in tonight because Cammy can't be bothered joining us. He's got some other commitments that are taking precedence over the podcast tonight. And joining me tonight is my better half, the yin to my yang, the other half of the best rhythm section in the west of Scotland. It's Iain Hay.
The wings to his Paul McCartney. Yes, hello, how are we?
I'm not too bad, Iain. How are you?
I'm okay. I've been watching Outlander.
Ooh.
Yes.
Any particular reason? Just feeling...
No, we've run out of stuff to watch.
It's getting that way, isn't it? Yeah.
It is
I think anybody joining the podcast tonight will realise that we're sort of starting to run out of, on gap weeks, we're starting to run out of content a wee bit, but we'll do our best to give you a full 3.5 hour epic. It'll be like Troy. Brad Pitt will be running about nudie.
The Zack Snyder cut.
We've got a suggestion is Cammy replacing Piers Morgan at GMP. I'm not sure that GMB's politics would align with our cams, but
I'm not sure. He lives in Yorkshire. Is that not quite a hotbed of right-wing Brexit activity? Was it? I don't know. It's like northeastern that. Not saying that they're all racist or particularly not Stoke, which is horrible.
That's about as political as we're going to get tonight. I hope.
Stop slagging off English towns.
Yes, I basically.
I like that.
We are going to tonight. We're going to have a look at the Glasgow game. Before we get accused of bias, yes, both me and Iain are Glasgow fans. However, Edinburgh did not have a game this weekend, so there is absolutely no reason why we have to speak about them any more on the podcast. We'll have a look at some news. We'll see what's happened. There's been a few developments, including a spotting of. Will we do it for Where's Dougie Donnelly? I think we will. Actually, I think we're going to throw it in a Dougie Donnelly, and then we'll do a wee preview of the upcoming Six Nations fixture against Ireland at the weekend. We will have a wee chat about that and see where we want to go with that. And no doubt we'll end up talking nonsense about all sorts of stuff. Do we want to get the nonsense out of the way first, Iain?
Absolutely not. We need to spread the nonsense evenly, like butter on toast.
Good. Did you notice there was 50 viewers as we went live tonight?
I did not. Where did you see that? And that's a surprise as well. As soon as they saw us too and no Edinburgh chat, I imagine most of the Edinburgh folk. Yeah,
we're now down to 34 and declining. So
yeah, well done.
Basically, Edinburgh's whole season ticket holder group have left the podcast.
Yeah.
So tonight we are brought to you. I'll get the promo out of the way. This is a paid promotion, so we are influencers, hashtag and all that. We are brought to you tonight in partnership with Manscaped.com, who are your premier connoisseurs for downstairs grooming items. They do a number of very, very good things to remove body hair, to tone, to make stuff smell nice. If you were to go to the wait a second, I'm meant to have a banner for this. You can tell I don't do this all the time. Let's do this. Boom. If you go to manscaped.com, use the promo code SRP, you'll get 20% off your order.
I feel like I'm on Sky Sports News now.
I know, that's it. Yeah. I know, it's breaking news. SRP. Your boss will thank you. So, exclusive. And you can see there, it's hashtag ads, hashtag paid partnership. Yep. So we've both used the products. They're pretty cool. There's some interesting stuff in there. I'm a particular fan of the ball toner because it's nice on your fingers. But you can also get some. On you go.
They sent us a new blade, which I've now misplaced, and I was hoping to use it on my head because my hair's getting too long.
Oh, are you going for a chop?
I might. I'm going to have to. I used my beard clippers last time and that took forever. It took like 2 hours.
You look like Voldemort's very angry brother if you shave your head.
I'd have to shave my face. I'd have to shave my face as well, wouldn't I?
No.
Or just like
no.
Universe Voldemort.
No, you just stop there. I know you. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
I believe I've not actually seen. I've only seen the first Harry Potter, and I've not read any of them.
Aye, and hashtag spoiler alert. The big man doesn't come back too much in that one. Like, he doesn't come back in like his proper baldy snake form. He comes back in like the back of somebody's head sort of form. It's a bit weird. Like, if I'm no destroying anybody's life by spoiling that. So anyway, get yourself over to manscaped.com, check it out. This hasn't taken 14 minutes to promo, so we will go straight into the news. Thank you, everyone. The comments are flying in here.
Have we got any Patreon acknowledgements to do?
Cammy doesn't tell me.
Oh,
doesn't tell me. But you know what? You're absolutely right, Iain. We also have a Patreon account. Come over, you get exclusive content. If you pay £3 a month, which is the price of a watered down beer from a pub that is not open at this point in time, you can get yourself access to the Richie Vernon Thunderdome, which is as cool as it sounds. That will get you access to exclusive content and ad-free podcasts, as well as Cammy delightfully trims a lot of the nonsense that me and Iain speak and delivers just the rugby section.
Where did you get pints for £3 a go from, incidentally, or where were you?
I'm not going to promote that sort of
Alright.
that
Yeah,
slanderous sort of place. They are dead to me now.
Oh right, yeah, those ones. Aye.
Yeah, what? Yeah, and
You're better pay. It's a fiver a month is the fiver a pint is now
well,
the standard.
exactly. Yeah, £5 a pint is now the standard. So if you choose to, you can pay more than a fiver. Like if you go to Murrayfield, for example, you will pay more than a fiver for your pint. However, you can pay £5 a month and get yourself access to the Doogie Donnelly Members Lounge, which is exactly the same as the Richie Vernon Thunderdome, except you get your name read out in the podcast, if Cammy tells me. But he hasn't. So if anybody has, my apologies. Blame Cam. Send him angry mail. It's no my fault.
Can I just thank some people then? You know, seeing as Cammy's left out the acknowledgements.
Go for
I don't know. We get sent free whiskey. Mind Cammy was telling us about this the other week. We have free whiskey from some of our listeners.
Wow.
Ali, Alex, and Ian.
Wow.
I don't know if it's Alex or Alec. Sorry, big man, if it's wrong. From the Kilncast podcast. So they sent us a couple of free whiskies.
That's amazing.
This one is a Bunnahabhain 11-year-old, which they've extra matured in a pork cask. A pork cask would be better, actually. Yeah, that's a nice salty pork cask. It's 57.5%. So I'm going to have a wee sample of this later. I'm currently working through the Berry Bros and Rudd blended malt sherry cask, which is 46%. It's quite nice.
So what you're saying is by the end of
send us free whiskey, and
basically
we'll talk about you on the podcast.
And if you come back later on, you'll see Ian in full 56% modes. Just as we get on to Hands in the Ruck, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've brought water as well, a wee AC/DC mug of water to top myself up just in case.
Thunder.
Speaking of, man, that music was awfully loud when you played it. I nearly went deaf.
I think it's just you're getting old, buddy.
That is it.
You've turned your hearing aid up too much. I'll knock my headset off. Turned your hearing aid up too much. Right.
I'm getting worried about my ears. There's like a weird rattling noise, especially if I'm doing like Zoom calls.
Yeah.
Some certain frequencies are like making my ears rattle. If there's any doctors listening, could you please
could we diagnose
Ian's
Ian's impending doom over podcast, please, guys. Right, news. Let's get on with some news. Actually, I forgot to use Cammy. You want me to show this? Sorry, I'm going to have to show it because I forgot to do it during the Manscaped stuff. Where is it? There it is. Look, Cammy made a wee bit of fun for us. Boom, there it goes. There's your bush going. So, yeah, that will never see the light of day again. Cammy, thank you for that. Shall we go on to the news then, Ian?
Let's do that.
So we'll start all the way back. Last week, our editor-in-chief Rory mentioned the Karate Kid himself, Adam Hastings, who has promptly got himself nice and banned for quite a few matches. What was you weren't on last week? So what was your take on this? And
no, and I've not even had time to listen to it yet. I'm afraid.
That's okay.
Rona's been off, so she's been distracting me. I mean, yes, I can see it's dangerous play, but it was accidental. I know people say intent doesn't come into it, blah blah blah. But I mean, surely it's more of a rugby collision. Kelleher ran into his boot. That's what the problem was. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. No, but of course now he's banned for. Well, this is one of those times when the 3 weeks, 3 games thing makes even less sense because technically it's kind of 4 games he could potentially miss. Because he would have been in the Scotland squad, you imagine. But yeah, so now he won't be. What's the other two? I can't mind the other 2 teams. Italy, Ospreys, and it's another Glasgow game.
So
it's like Ireland. Ospreys
you've got Zebri and Ospreys as well as Ireland.
So Zebri just there. So he's missed Zebri.
Yeah.
So we've had to do a bit of chopping and changing in the backs.
Yes, indeed, we have done. Obviously, we'll move on to some. There's been some additions to the Glasgow Warriors back row. since last week. So we've had Ali Miller and Mr. Darge himself. Darge, is that how we say it?
Yep, Rory Darge.
Rory Darge have made the switch over to Glasgow as of next season. One of the commenters on the podcast last week was saying that Glasgow definitely needed some back row reinforcements, and I tended to agree. But I mean, Darge is a really interesting one because there was chat about him last season when he signed for Edinburgh that he should have been, or at least one of the youth players should have been coming over to Glasgow. And now we've kind of reversed that decision and sort of chipped him across the pond. So a good move, a couple of decent prospects. I mean, Miller's obviously got Sevens pedigree, very, very dynamic player.
Yep, Rory was the under-20s captain. Captain the Scotland under-20s to that, what's it, I can't remember, 57-17 or something win in Colwyn Bay over Wales. Well, Edinburgh, because they've managed to re-sign their first choice back row 3, they're well stocked there, and they've also re-signed Nick Haining. Luke Crosby still hasn't really had a huge amount of game time. Bradbury's even shifted to lock of late because of some injuries they've had. So Miller and Darge weren't going to get enough game time. If you look at the age profile of the Glasgow back row, Roe Wilson's getting on a bit. I think he's played a ridiculous number of games in a row now.
Yeah, seems to have.
Matt Ferguson's obviously going to be away quite a bit. Leonie's going to be off. That was another option at 6. I think the only genuine open signs we have are Tom Gordon and Fusaro. And Fusaro, again, age profile, he's going to the end of his career. So it's a good opportunity for the likes of Ali Miller. Rory Darge probably more likely to play blind side, I would think. It's a good opportunity for these guys to get more game time, and for Glasgow to have backup when the big cats are away. Even though we don't make up that many, the back row is essentially Edinburgh nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and I think that's the thing. You know, we talk about the big cats being away. So there's been a couple of additions to the Scotland squad. So the main one, and there was a lot of chat about this kind of before the tournament, but the main one kind of coming in is Sam Skinner, who has been kind of finding a bit of form back at Exeter.
I've posted an article today, put up about 5ish, an interview with him yesterday from the press conference. It's just the sort of generic stuff, but there's a bit of talk from him. He's been in very good form for Exeter of late. Scored twice at the weekend. He's played, was it 7 games in a row, I think now, since the sort of start of Six Nations and even a wee bit before. And they've all been at lock. It's interesting to see where he'll fit in, but obviously he's very versatile bench option should anything happen. Early doors to anyone between the numbers 4 and 6. Although Rob Baxter thinks he's an 8 as well, so that's another option there. He's a European champion, so obviously he's a quality player. It's a bit weird that we think we've got enough. It's strange to think we have the strength and depth to leave him out, but there it is.
It was an interesting one the last time the squad was revised, that obviously Rob Harley was brought in before Sam Skinner, and that seemed deliberate on Townsend's part. So we know that players are brought into the squad not because they're first choice options or because they're going to make a squad, but because obviously there's a deliberate choice of numbers in that quite often players are brought in because of their similarities to opposition players. And I do wonder if Rob Harley had been brought in due to his kind of, in preparation for the France game, due to his similarity to perhaps somebody in the French.
Lombi, the big
So we're look. I'm not. Well, I'll do the woke klaxon. I think I will. 2 seconds, right? Cammy's much quicker at this. Where's the woke klaxon? Right. We're not in the game of shaming or unshaming beards here. Big Philby. So my beard is looking very trim just now because I was struggling to eat some soup. In all fairness, if Andy's got a big beard and has tried to eat some soup, you'll know my pain. Iain, you look like you like a tin of soup, mate.
I don't actually like soup.
You're not,
but
it's all soup.
I just can't be arsed with it. I like the carrot and corn. I like soups. I like carrot and coriander soup. That's probably my favourite of the soups.
Right.
If you were to ask me to choose a favourite soup, which I feel like I'm being forced into now.
Oh, definitely, yeah. We don't shame bodies on here, but we shame soups.
It's not a meal, is it? People go, soup and a bit of bread. I'm like, where's the actual food?
But
I feel like I should be chewing food.
Like soup and a bit of bread. It's more about like soup and a loaf of bread. Unknown character is suggesting we use a spoon. Obviously, we're using a spoon for our beards. Our beards for our soup.
Oh man, that's it. I was using a fork. That's where I was going.
That's the issue. I had my fish slice on the go.
I've had to trim my moustache recently. I was having problems with other tins.
Yes. How sore is that?
The first time I did that, it brought a tear to the eye. Now it's happened a couple of times. It's like it's a massive irritation and sweary word.
It's a bit nippy, isn't it? And
God,
so what you'll never get if you use manscaped.com is nippy hairs coming out. It'll be smooth, silky.
I've never used my scrotum to open a can of beer.
You've got the wee nose trimmer, mate.
I've not used that to open a can of beer either.
All right, cool. No, it was not. It was tomato soup, but it was not consumed cold because that's pure posh. Anyway,
it's gazpacho.
It's like a Chilean dictator. So Skinner's back in the squad. Probably a prospect for the 23 actually. If he's doing press work as well, we quite often say anyone that's kind of doing the press work tends to be in the reckoning for the weekend. So other additions to the squad, we've had Rufus Mclean has been called up, which it seems Townsend's gone down the route just now, Iain, of giving let's just go with young Glasgow backs because we've got enough of them now, giving them exposure to the international setup. So we've had Jamie Dobby there already, who is still 19. What? Ridiculous. Anyway, and now Rufus Mclean's had a wee call up as well, probably just to get into the environment. I think that's a sensible move.
Yeah, he'd been with training with the squad before, as is, I can't remember. Have you got a list of the players that have been called up to train? I think Rory Darch is in it actually. But Mclean has been in a similar situation before. I wonder if they're like you were saying about sort of training methods and using them in sort of as sort of replicas of the opponents. He's a bit like Keith Earls in that he's quite height wise and the speed on him as well. They both got quite a similar running style, I think. Deceptively quick. So yeah, he's probably not going to get near the 23 unless some tragedy befalls a bunch of wingers. But no, good on him. He's impressed. He's not finished the article, but he's impressed in a couple of games for Glasgow. Like I said, he's got ridiculous speed on him. So
yep. So we'll probably come to that just in a minute when we'll have a quick chat about Glasgow against the Zebras, Zebra at the weekend. But the last wee bit of news that has kind of popped up. So the European kind of fixtures were drawn today, and to avoid bias, we'll talk about the Big Cup first. And Edinburgh.
We are wee brother now, aren't we?
We are. Technically. Anyway, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'm okay with it. Basically, the European Cup this year isn't really a thing. Like, basically, I think the names were drawn out of COVID hat. So, but anyway, Edinburgh, congratulations to Edinburgh. They've made it to the knockout stages in some way. And they have been paired with everyone's favourite French team, It's none other than Finsanity's side himself, Racing 92. So that'll be a absolute gubbin for Edinburgh, right?
Depends, because it's the week. That's the thing. It's going to be the week after the proposed rescheduled France match.
Yep.
So there's a likelihood that some Scotland players will, due to risk protocols, be told to sit out.
Yep.
So who knows how strong a squad they will be able to send over there. That's the way, isn't it?
Aye.
Yeah, I think they'll get gubbed. But I suppose France might have. Oh no, France don't have the same thing with the central contracts, so the clubs won't care. So Vakatawa and all that could be back.
Yeah, no, they'll be getting.
They'll be flogging Finn for every last drop of milk.
Every euro they can get out of them, they'll be absolutely milking them. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good tie actually for Edinburgh, and it'll be really interesting to see how they go against a side who, I mean, Racing have that. They've got that ability to combine both sides of the game. They are incredibly efficient in their backline. Russell, since he's went over there, has just shone with the players he's got around him. But they also have that absolute power game. And you just have to look at guys like Camille Shah's coming back. He's him of no neck. Yeah, he is unbelievably big. They've got such a good power game in the forwards as well that you would probably expect Edinburgh would want to front up to that, but it's about as good as it gets, and it's probably a good indication of where Edinburgh actually are. And maybe if they can go over there and put a respectable performance, like, let's be clear, I hope they go over there and win, but they're not going to, right? But if they can go over there and put in a respectable performance and really be competitive, that might silence some of the kind of negative, well, we call them negative Nellies, I think we will, who are maybe questioning the divine leader, Richard Cockerell's methods over in the capital.
Well, both him and Wilson have stated repeatedly it's been a very weird year for them, as we all know. They weren't able to strengthen. They'll have had their end of season targets, and then they'll have maybe had a budget for that. But then obviously the season's been all screwed up, so they've not been able to build as they would like to. So Edinburgh are sorely lacking, particularly sort of standoff, because the work permit for, was it John O'Taylor?
John O'Lance.
John O'Lance, that was it. Yeah, his work permit fell through, so it was just Yako and Nathan Chamberlain, who was expected to be third choice and to learn from these guys, experienced guys. Yeah, we know how Cockers will want to play the game, but it could be a mauling. If Edinburgh do get to keep, if they get Ritchie and Watson and Mata, they've saved a lot of their best performances for Europe. And those three guys, that's there's not many clubs in Europe who would look at that back three and not go, I wouldn't mind that.
I wouldn't mind some of that, sir. Yeah. So what we're saying is there's hope, but there's not expectation.
Yes, exactly.
That seems reasonable.
We all thought Scotland didn't stand a chance at Twickenham. So with the
I think you'll find
environment.
I think you'll find that I backed Scotland to win. I think you'll find on another podcast I may have backed Scotland to win by 5.
That's just for the likes, though, isn't it? You're just a whoremonger.
A social media biddy, mate. So Glasgow are all also off to France. We are off over to.
Sorry, a wee bit more Edinburgh news.
Oh, sorry, on you go.
They've signed somebody. They've signed Iain de Bruyne, tight head from Leicester. Surprise! A South African lock joins prop joins Scottish team. Lewin de Bruyne. So yeah, that's and Darren Marford's gone the other way.
Well, he was that was my Dougie Donnelly. The lesser spotted Daryl Marfo.
Oh, damn, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
It's like a burst of pinata.
You've
I've just trod
absolutely
on the pinata before it got up.
destroyed me. Yeah.
Oh,
No. So do you know
podcast on.
what? We're gonna go slightly off piste here.
Well,
As
we
a-
looked high and we looked low, we seemed to get by on in speedos, but I just wanna know, did you see the legend that's Dougie Donnelly?
So this is mainly just so I can practice my jingle usage on the platform we use. But yes,
Now that I've ruined it.
now that Ian's ruined it, hashtag spoiler alert. Yes, the lesser spotted Marfo has rocked up at yet another club. As you say, he's off to Leicester for what seems to be to end of the season. Seems to be what's been suggested. Oh no, it's for next season. Sorry, yeah, they've recruited. So you'd imagine that's a year-long deal. They've also signed Nemanja Nadolo, which
Re-signed.
re-signed. Yes, but
Yeah.
if you're getting put out in a press release and you're alongside Nadolo and you are Daryl Marfo, you would probably feel quite good about that, wouldn't you?
People think I'm big news.
I'm the big dog. Yeah, I mean, Marfo's we're kind of laughing about it here, but obviously a Scotland international prop going to Leicester. I mean, he's quite far down the pecking order in that probably you would get a game at Loosehead before him at this point, but
Try to say I'm fat.
I think that's what Philby was saying earlier on, but I'm obviously not suggesting because we don't body shame on this podcast, but Marfo's an interesting one, and obviously there's been rumours about his attitude and how he maybe approaches the game, and he was obviously sensational in that one autumn series that he kind of shone, but has not really done anything since. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes at Leicester.
I think as well it's just one of these problems with people not getting game time. And always saw Jamie Batty, once he dropped behind Schumann and Sutherland, then he got called into the Scotland team and did not play well.
No.
So I think it's, they need match practice.
Especially in that position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, good luck to him. I mean, Leicester and Edinburgh seem to have quite a good relationship. The number of players.
I mean, it wouldn't be necessarily the club that I would buddy up to, like most of all, if I was Edinburgh, given that Leicester tend to be, for the last few seasons in particular, since Glasgow gubbed them actually, they have been utterly rubbish. But I suppose having access to young talent, maybe in the Leicester Academy, probably not a bad thing. There's been a few Scotland boys have come through there as well. So
yeah, apparently Matt Scott made somebody's Premiership Team of the Week.
I've seen that. Yeah, both Matt Scott and Chris Harris.
Yeah.
So that's a dynamic 12-13 partnership, that one. So yeah, wingers will get cold waiting on the ball coming from those two. But yeah, so good luck to Big Marfo. We hope he absolutely tears it up at Leicester and is suddenly Scotland's first choice once again. However, so as we were saying, Glasgow are off to Montpellier. So in the Wee Cup,
Nadolo's former team. So
there's your link. Also, multiple South Africans after Vern Cotter's era at Montpellier, where he basically signed all of South Africa for them.
It seems to be a bit of a recurring theme around the world.
It's almost like they're world champions or something.
Yeah, who'd have thunk? They seem to be good.
Yep. It's almost like, it's the old All Blacks idea of, we should sign as many All Blacks as we can because apparently they're quite good at rugby. So you would think we were in a professional sport or something and teams were trying to win. It's interesting, isn't it?
Never catch on.
Never catch on, exactly. Yeah, we'll have none of this. So yeah, so we'll move on to. Do you want to do? I'll give you the option, Ian, because I'm pure nice like that. Do you want to do Glasgow, or would you like to go on to Scotland just now?
Glasgow Montpellier. We'll do that and then move up to Scotland, because then Scotland's like the big dog.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me.
Is that
So-
what you're meaning, or what was there other Glasgow stuff you were thinking of?
No, I was talking about the Zebra game.
Oh, Zebra. All right, cool.
Yeah, no, talk about Zebra.
Well, we were awfully quick about Montpellier. We talked much more about Edinburgh.
We did, yeah.
Now we're going to get accusations of Edinburgh bias.
Well, here
John,
you go.
need to
Look,
balance it.
your knowledge is shocking at times. There was loads of South Africans at Montpellier previously. Okay, well, maybe we are not fully up to date with the Montpellier squad as it is. If you care, Duncan, please give us a shout and let us know how many South Africans are still there. And we've actually covered the Edinburgh Racing game as well. Yeah, I'm not going to give Glasgow Montpellier any more time, because it is the Diddy Cup, and I like to remind.
It's a Diddy Cup that Danny Wilson has a good record in.
He does.
He won
He
it.
does.
Beat
He
him
does.
in the final as well. So I'm sure you'd appreciate that, John.
I did appreciate that.
We have to add a bit of water to this. This is like petrol, man.
Hopefully, our
Nice tasting petrol, but
yeah.
it's the alcohol afterburn was a bit too much. It's a very nice colour. Reminds me of an Auchentoshan 3 wood. There we go.
It's very, very nice. Yes,
Fun,
very
Jamal.
nice.
Anyway.
Yes. So Glasgow Zebra at the weekend. You wrote the match report for this, Ian. So Glasgow came from behind to earn apparently a 17th consecutive victory over Zebra. It wasn't comfortable. It wasn't nice, but Glasgow Warriors' very young team got over the line eventually with the help of Nick Grigg, who came on and had a starring role, Ian.
Yeah, so it's it seems quite typically, after I've been bigging up Hugh Jones all week, he had a bit of a shocker, and I'll be going, yeah, that's why he should have always been picked ahead of Nick Grigg. And so how the tables turned, because it was Grigg's introduction that really sealed the deal. It was a very pendulous, good word, pendulous game. So Glasgow had the first decent attack within like a couple of minutes, spilled the ball. I think it was Hugh Jones actually.
Yeah.
That was the first of many.
That was a recurring theme, yes.
Then there was that horrific clash between Gregor Brown and I can't remember what's the Italian boy's name. It's in the report. Yeah, that was nasty. And then Glasgow seemed to get the upper hand, but as has been the case frequently this season, and again it kind of came off the back of a Hugh Jones spill, which is what turned over possession.
Yep.
Just before half-time, tackles start getting missed, or they're just not strong enough in the tackle. Offloads are getting away. People aren't running back into the line quick enough. I mean, the second try, Nakarawa, you can tell he was blowing out of whatever orifice he could find. Because his desire to get back in the lane wasn't exactly ravenous. But you know, Zebra scored those two tries. I mean, there's some really nice offloading in them. You have to credit that. As much as you can criticise Glasgow, but then Greg came on for Ollie Smith, who'd been sin-binned. That was another big issue. Obviously, was the discipline.
Discipline was dreadful, wasn't it?
Yes, yellow cards galore again. I think we must be. I looked at it recently, and Glasgow were quite near the bottom in terms of discipline on the Pro 14 website, and they must be, seeing as that's a red card and 4 yellows since I last looked at it. I imagine we're now really propping up that table. But no, there was some nice play in there once things got moving, and Greg cut a lovely line for the sort of leveler try, or the try that brought us into striking distance.
Yep.
And then proved his strengths again for the clincher.
So speaking about discipline, there had been murmurings of dissent with regards to certainly the first yellow card for Glasgow, the Sam Johnson yellow card, and there was a wee bit of confusion regarding maybe some of the referees' interpretations. I didn't necessarily think he had that bad a game, though. I thought he was okay. In terms of like the Sam Johnson one's an interesting one, and I'll pass over to you for your take on this, Ian. But a few years ago, like that tackle's fine. Like 2011, 2012, that tackle's fine, right? There's no issue. Now, as soon as you lift a man in the tackle, you're in danger. And the way he came down, whilst there was no malice in it, and I think Sam Johnson absolutely has tried to return him to the ground really safely. There's zero tolerance on it now, and you have to get sin bin for it. Sadly,
yeah, it's that sort of flick of the leg which only just makes it go above the horizontal, even if it's just for a flash, split second. I mean, seems it led to a try. I mean, is there a point in the sort of double? It's quite often a question, should there be the sort of double jeopardy thing? Could it be, if it's deliberate knock on, do we need to give a penalty try and a yellow card? Give the penalty try. You've already given up.
You've done your bit, yeah.
Yeah, that's that's punishment enough. Especially now that we're talking about bringing red carded players back on.
Yeah.
I think something as innocuous or as it's not damaging to player safety, a deliberate knock on. Fine, you've cheated. And if it's penalty try, then that's that. If it's not, then yellow card guy, no bother. But the Johnson tackle, I mean, he goes down on his arm. Johnson does flick the leg, but he's kind of not exactly cradling him, but he sort of sets him back so he's not going head first and then drop. I don't know. I mean, obviously we need to stick to the letter of the law and protect player safety, but there wasn't a great threat to Ian Nagle's safety. He wasn't dropped on his head. I mean, was it 15, 16? Matt Tumua drove Finn Russell head first into the ground at Scots.
That's right, yeah.
And the only thing that stopped Finn Russell smacking his head off the floor was the fact he had to
put his arm out.
Yep. And that only got a yellow card, and that's 5 times as bad as what Sam Johnson did.
Yeah, and that's this is where it does become difficult, because what you're we've talked about this a number of times in the podcast. What you're relying on there is the wherewithal of the player versus almost the professionalism of the player. And if you think back to the Keith Earls Fraser Brown incident as well, you're talking about whether a professional player. Obviously, professional players are not setting out to hurt each other. We know that, right? They're sportsmen. They're setting out to play the game in the spirit it's meant to be played in. But we also know professional rugby players cheat like hell. And if the difference is that you don't put your arm out and maybe take a bump in the back of the head when you're getting gently put back to the ground, because I mean the situation at the weekend, as you rightly say, I don't think there was any safety issue. I think but I do think that by the letter of the law, if he comes down, the way he's coming down, if he comes down on his head, Sam Johnson's getting a red card. There's going to be no damage whatsoever to the Italian player in that instance because of the way the tackle's been made. But it's the risk you take, and it's about kind of conditioning those behaviours. So it's a difficult one, because you are relying on players to be honest, almost to say, do you know what, I can get my arm down, or I can twist my body to land on my shoulder. It's instinct comes in, and it's a really difficult one. I think it needs re-looking at, because we're in danger of so every time we bring in these law changes, there's very clever coaches and very clever players making sure that they take advantage of it. And I'm not suggesting for anyone who's going to get upset about player safety and just let the boys play and all that nonsense, I'm not suggesting in any way, shape or form that we allow people to get dump tackled on their heads. What I'm saying is that we need to be very careful about how we professionalise these rules.
Yeah, and how you punish them. Is there a need for extra officials? So I've said for a while, getting scrum refs.
Yep.
Does it maybe need? But the thing is, so I was going to say, does it need like a sort of a 3-man TMO team? But then it's just going to drag stuff out much further. So that's a terrible idea. Forget I even thought it. I'm sticking with the scrum ref one. But yeah, I mean, because of all the frameworks and all this kind of stuff that referees get sent that they have to work through, these flow charts, there isn't much scope for leeway or referees' interpretation, which I think has damaged certain elements of football and rugby.
Yep.
Some of the VAR stuff in football right now is absolutely ridiculous and nearly cost me a victory in fantasy football.
Yep. No, we'll not dwell too much on that. So bright sparks for Glasgow. Obviously they've got the win, but
if we're talking about dangerous plays, right? They see when Rufus Mclean thought he'd scored that try when he bounces. The zebra hooker, whose name I was just looking up, he has just dropped an elbow on him, right on the back of his head, and that's not even looked at, or considered. It was much more dangerous than what Sam Johnson did, but it wasn't reviewed at all.
Yes,
shocking.
Where
Because Rufus McLean's a wee guy, and that's a big, massive hooker, elbow dropping him from the top turnbuckle.
That's it. It's like WWE. He's coming from the top rope. No, it was a bit of a cheap shot, and you don't want to see that. And it's annoying because you often find when you go away to the Italian teams in particular, the video coverage is not nearly as robust, and you quite often find yourself lamenting incidents that have happened afterwards that maybe should have been reviewed that don't get caught, and they just want a bit of consistency.
Tommy Seymour took a right scud in the back of the head against either Zebra or Benetton a few years back.
Was that when he scored like 4 tries in the hedge?
Yeah.
That was I loved that hedge. That was my favourite hedge. That was a top quality hedge.
In rugby, that was.
That's it. Yeah.
But then it got manscaped.
Yes, it got trimmed. It got
shameless plug for you.
That's it. Yeah. So, I mean, positives for Glasgow though. That the pace of the back line. We were commenting in our little private chat. Our man Forbes has got some serious defensive game about him as well. Looks a decent prospect.
Yeah, it's one of these where sometimes, as you said, sometimes you see a winger and you're like, nah, mate, but not with him. I'm yet to be blown away by like Ratu Takivi. Obviously, he's had lots of injury issues, and then there was problems with you can only have so many. You can only have so many non-EU people in your squad, so I don't know how that rule works now for British team in the Pro 14. But yeah, he seems to have all-round game. He's a big lad. He won a turnover which set Glasgow on their way to Dobie try. A couple of times he helped do choke tackles to turn the ball over again when Zebra had possession, set up a maul. He's fast, he's strong, he seems to always be in the right spot. His little kick through for the first try for Ross Thompson's try, that was clever awareness and execution. All right, fair enough, it's a bit of a 50-50 and it took a lucky bounce, but if a Zebra player had recovered it, they were stuck right in Coffin corner. So
yeah, what was interesting about that one for me was that he chose not to. So quite often you'll see a winger pop the ball up the line in that instance, but he did have the awareness to kind of look about him and go, do you know what? I'm not going to back myself to pop it down the line and then go myself. He was really aware of the guys inside him. He knew Thompson was inside him, and he popped an angled kick, which was smarts, and we like to see that. And again, it's maybe something we with the exception of the top class wingers that we see in Scotland, like so your guys like your Darcy Grahams, it's maybe something we don't see from our wings. I'm thinking maybe, I don't want to single players out, but guys like Rory Hughes, who had like plenty of strengths about him, but maybe awareness of those around him was not one of them. and you maybe don't see that rugby intelligence coming through that you get from these guys from New Zealand, from South Africa. You get a bit more smarts about them.
Yeah, and he's SQ'd, although that still won't stop certain people complaining about the fact he's not come through the club system.
Yeah.
And also, we'd best not mention the cat.
Yes, well, we are the cats at a rave tonight, so
yes,
let's not mention it in case.
Although there's no way he's only 21. That's a sun-beaten face, that. But no, he looks like an incredibly good player.
Do you remember when Big Brian signed for Glasgow and I think he was 24 at the time?
Yeah.
And that guy is not a day under 56.
Yeah, and then I got accused of being a racist.
You did, yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So, but because Cole Forbes is both white and New Zealander, you'll and murders cats. Yeah, no, you'll be fine.
Cats.
Yeah, no. Let's address this Xander slander straight away.
Oh yeah, I've not come up with them. Yeah.
You've not done any Xander slander. So the other two in the back line for Glasgow, Ollie Smith and Rufus Mclean, two big prospects from the under-20s. The gas on Rufus Mclean. Oofed.
I've decided that I'm retiring the phrase "he's got wheels." That and the biscuits. I'm sick of the biscuit jokes now.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm done with hamster style.
Fair enough.
It's a wee orgasmo in joke for anyone who's seen that. Smith, I don't think he's not really had a chance to shine yet. But McLean certainly very quick. I thought when he made that amazing break down the right hand side, I do think he should maybe have looked at pop it to Johnson or Dobie, who were inside him. But yeah, like you said, man, there's some turbo in there. So he's very quick. But again, once he just picks up these game smarts, or he's probably just thought, awesome, I'm away from my first away try for Glasgow.
Absolutely, yeah.
He looks good.
You can't blame him for that. But at every age grade, you get told that if you back yourself in that situation, you better bloody score. And he didn't. So ultimately, it was the wrong decision. But I do appreciate a bit of confidence in a player, and he has got gas, and it's good to see him using it. It's a really good break. So, but as you say, maybe a pop inside. He'll learn that. I think this is a very interesting comment that's just come in actually. Before we move on, if Rory Hughes played in the noughties, he would be a 50 cap international. It's more of a Lamont and Daniele type, which isn't enough these days. I'm going to call absolute bobbins on that, and purely for the reason that Rory Hughes has not been not injured for 50 consecutive days, let alone I don't think Rory Hughes got 50 Glasgow caps, let alone 50 Scotland caps. I mean, I get your point. I think he is very much in that attritional winger sort of big brute sort of category, but there was just never enough about him, and he never stayed fit long enough to ever put a run together where he would maybe have got near international honours on a consecutive basis. Like, obviously he got capped, but I don't think 50 caps would have necessarily happened for Big Rory for all of his buckfast ways.
Fair enough back then, possibly because things weren't going very well. But now we have a big brute of a winger who can also score tries.
Yeah.
And
is not injured all the time.
All the time, yeah. That's like you even see Rory Hughes coming on as a sub, all taped up, and then I'm sure there was a game, at least one Glasgow game where he came on all taped up, and within about 10 minutes you can see him hobbling.
Aye.
And then 25 minutes, he's got 25 minutes to run about on one leg. I was just unlucky. I just don't, like we were saying, I don't think he had the game smarts. Yes, he was a big, strong, powerful lad, but he was, he wasn't much of a stepper, and he wasn't exactly prolific.
He had what is it they call it, a Tongan step, which is straight through the man.
He got like one big chance to get quarter-final against Saracens, and when he stepped up to that level,
he wasn't good enough.
It wasn't great. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah. I think that's a fair assessment. So, let's. Anyway, Glasgow won, and that's probably all that we can take away from it. Bonus point. Woo! Tom Gordon, man of the match again. Again, he was the man of the match.
Forbes.
Yeah, I can understand that. I think Gordon's a bit of the press sweetheart at the moment as well because of his mullet.
All good open sides have a mullet. It's one of the new rules that came in, new breakdown rules.
That's that was actually introduced. It was an in-game variation that was introduced recently. So, but yeah, I think we'll not dwell too much longer on it because, frankly, there's no real interest in anything that's happening in Pro 14 for the rest of the season, really, because Leinster are going to win it, and it's really kind of pointless. But shall we move on to the international game?
Let's
do a little preview. So Scotland are up against our good friends from across the sea this coming weekend. I noted actually that our good friends from across the sea have been doing a sterling job of re-signing all their old age pensioners for at least another season. So both Johnny Sexton signed another year. That's hilarious. That guy is I mean, he's more over the hill than Alwyn Jones. I'm just putting it out there.
And he's suffered more injuries than Alwyn Jones.
Yes.
And if O'Mahony's re-signed, hasn't he?
He has as well, yes. Him
and
of
Keith.
I hate O'Mahony so bad.
Well, it's between him and Keith. Keith Earls has also signed a new contract, so there's your Scottish rugby Munster villains right there.
It's like your trio of hate right there. Sexton, O'Mahony, and Earls. Which one would you tire of punching quickest? I don't know. We'll not comment on that because we're obviously not advocating violence against players.
They're all bigger than us.
They are, yeah.
Although I reckon Sexton would stay down and complain to the ref he was injured.
He would. So
Keith Earls would bite your ankles.
And O'Mahony would have knocked you out before you got near him.
Yeah.
First chance you got. I mean, again, another big opportunity for Scotland to kind of really show where they are in the kind of pecking order. Obviously, with the game against France being COVIDed off last time out, we've had lots of time to work with the team, lots of time to kind of try and put a game plan in place. But it seems that every time we come up against Ireland, all best laid plans tend to go out of a referee-shaped window quite quickly. What's your take on, what's your predictions for the weekend?
I'm just thinking, who have we got? Who is refereeing?
Oh, that's
oh God, I think I looked. It's not him again, is it?
That's it.
Poite.
It might well be.
Because we seem to get him a lot. Because that was like, we got him at the World Cup, and of course you might remember the Six Nations game just prior to that is when Craig Laidlaw went on his
rampage.
But I don't know what else I have to say to him. I don't know why he seems to pick it, go against us all the time. So I'm not looking forward to that. But this thing, like, Ireland have bullied us relentlessly for years. Tooney's taken the sort of, oh wait, this is how I beat the Irish teams with Glasgow, I'll stick to this. But then when you get them under Joe Schmidt and now Andy Farrell, who's not really deviated from the Schmidt plan at all whatsoever, either in style or personnel.
No.
Townsend reacted to that by picking a far heavier pack for the game at the Aviva last year, where we arguably, we were the better team, I'd say.
Yep.
And if it wasn't for Stuart Hogg dropping the ball over the line, the classic trait of them being offside, not getting picked up, when you're like 5 metres out. But again, it's Scotland's inability to finish for 5 metres against Irish teams, a recurring theme again in Clubland. Now's the time that, we do need to start beating Ireland and Wales. We need to start doing it consistently because we know it's in the locker, but we don't do it, and that's why we aren't considered what I would say a top tier team. We're tier 1.5 is what we are.
Yep, but I think there's definitely an opportunity for us this weekend to kind of, Ireland they've been effective, but they haven't been. There's nothing again that would concern you about that Ireland team, and the way Scotland, despite what happened against Wales last time out, you would probably be confident that certainly we'll give them a game, and if all going well, there's no reason why we shouldn't be looking to win that match.
No, especially, we should obviously, the chat is we should be looking at win every match, but, well, maybe not the last season or so. We saw how well that Glasgow and Edinburgh can compete with the Irish sides, and you put our 15 best out against their 15 best on paper. They look, there's certain areas where you could obviously Ireland have dominance, then there's others where you'd say that we have dominance. It's fairly evenly matched in certain areas. And even the last time we played them at the Open Nations Cup, Scotland played extremely well up until Duncan Taylor's ridiculous yellow card.
That was a really bad decision again,
And then again, that sort of 10 minutes either side of half time, we ballsed up. Hogg made this was before Hogg hit this great little streak he's on just now. Hogg wasn't great. And also, we didn't have Finn Russell. And that's how you break down that green wall. Yeah.
I mean, when we've played well against Ireland recently, it has been, Finn Russell has been kind of pulling the strings, and I kind of always remember that try, the try over in the corner against Ireland. Was it Sam Johnson that scored it with a wee pop up from Finn? It was a beautiful try. So, we'll look to see what we can do against them. I think, obviously we'll do our little team once the teams get announced. This is Tuesday night, so if you're listening to this on Thursday, where have you been? Firstly, you should have been with us before now, but we'll be doing our OnlyFins promo, our little flash pods to look at the teams. That's for our Patreon folks only. So we'll do that, but I suppose
who do you think is going to play at 12?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't want to say Lang.
I think Sam Johnson will get the nod.
You think Sam Johnson will get the nod?
He's had an extra 8 minutes.
Yeah, I think Johnson has been. That's the thing. I think Johnson has been really good. Actually, the last couple of games he's played, in spite of getting yellow carded, I think he's captured a lot of the kind of things we expect from Sam Johnson. That big kind of ball carrying, and his defensive work is pretty strong. So Johnson and Harris, I think you might be right.
People say they don't think it's there's not a lot of flair there. Fair enough, but they're both strong and direct runners. And
you don't have to have too much flair when you've got Finn putting you in a gap and just whoosh.
He brings all the sauce.
You just bring the fish and chips, mate, and Finn will bring he'll bring the salt and the pepper,
the accoutrement.
Anything you need, hot curry sauce for your fish and chips. I don't know if that would work. I think it probably would. But
chips and curry sauce,
Oh no, I know chips and curry
sauce.
sauce.
Fish, man.
See, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, just like bang it on the fish, and so you've got I'm watching this on Friday. All right, very good. We've also got Ireland have looked pretty mediocre so far, the Six Nations. Yeah, we say that every time.
I know,
and then
they squeeze the life out of us.
Grind us down into glue. It's so frustrating.
Horrible, cheap mincemeat.
And do we not think you'll stick with Lang? Right.
No, I don't.
I have my views on James Lang. I think Townsend sees something in him at the moment that he hasn't shown during games. And, that's not to say he hasn't got talent. I think he probably shows up very well in training. And Harris was the same, and he stuck with Harris. So he might well stick with Lang. I'm just not convinced yet. That's not to say I won't be convinced. And if the time comes where James Lang is the starting 12 for Scotland and is looking very, very talented, then I'll be happy with that. But I don't see it yet. So
I think particularly as well with Rory Hutchinson, who is also able to play that sort of utility back role. I think really it's really going to be a straight shout between Lang and Hutchinson for maybe the 22 jersey.
Yeah.
Because Cammy Redpath looked the real deal, didn't he? Let's just put this. Let's just say that Redpath, once he comes back, he'll get another chance.
He'll be pretty
oh God, or will Duncan Taylor be given another chance at 12 before he breaks in half?
I mean, I'm half tempted to play the Duncan Taylor sea shanty right now, but I think we'll avoid that just now. I mean, I think you're right. I think Sam Johnson probably is our best option, but it's all down to what the game plan is and what Townsend wants from his 12, and I think he is starting to go back to that second distributor, which Johnson isn't necessarily as strong at. He's much more of a direct runner than
I've seen him dish out a couple of pretty sexy passes.
Oh yeah, no, he can.
Rice against Sarries, like a 20-metre effort.
He certainly can. I just think he likes to put his quite often just put the step on it and just off you go. But whereas maybe Lang will distribute a wee bit more. But again, I think you're right. Redpath is definitely the successor to the Pete Horn 12 jersey in the Scotland shirt. It's just we've had 3 years since Pete Horn's been decent in a Scotland jersey. So, oh no, that's going to get people's backs up, isn't it? I know, ouch. I don't mean it. Pete Horn's lovely.
I love Pete Horn. Just
at 12. Just as long as he's not playing at 10. Shall we go into this, Ian? Let's crack on because we're doing well for time. So yes, we have made it in an hour and 7 minutes to our Hands on the Ruck, which is our any other business section. You can give us something that has ground your gears. You can give us something that has made you exceptionally happy, exceptionally sad. Anything at all. Tends to be quite related to Scottish rugby, but often we kind of, there's a bit more space to be creative and free in this area, and also there is no woke klaxon in Hands in the Ruck. So our divine leader Cam has emailed me. We've got a Hands in the Ruck.
Oh wow.
I know. Oh yes, I know. I was wondering why he didn't just message me it, but it was very, very, very serious. Yeah, there was no attachment, no. But so this is a Hands Up from Chloe Stanton. So hi, Chloe. So very, very nice. Hi, Cammy. Oh, I go with Cam now, but Cammy's good as well. We like that. This week, my Hands in the Ruck is the turning up of noses in some corners of the Warriors support at Ali Miller's signing. I think you'd struggle to find an Edinburgh fan who didn't want to see more of Miller, and I think he could be an absolute revelation for Glasgow. He was always a fast, skillful 8 at under-20s level and 7s, and Edinburgh added a harder, grafting edge to him. Perhaps didn't give him the framework to showcase his more free-flowing strengths. That's a very good point. I don't think this will be the case at the Glasgow Warriors, and as such, I think they're getting a very well-rounded player. Also, I'm gutted that Darge is moving too, as I grew up in the same village as him, a good few years ahead, mind you, and despite being a naturalised Ouija in everything but the rugby, there's still time, Chloe, there's still time. It's okay, come, join the dark side. it's okay for me to get out, but no one else. Regards, Chloe. Finishing off with our regards. That's strong. Have you noticed this sort of thing from our brethren, Ian, that we perhaps sometimes turn our noses up at certain signings?
Actually, I haven't noticed that one, but I try not to linger too much on forums now. You know how hard it is, John.
Yep.
No, I've
I had hair before that.
I haven't noticed that about Miller, but I do find it. I mean, I think I see more of sort of the other side where people Glasgow aren't signing enough Scottish. I've done the air quotes thing, by the way, for people who are listening to this. Scottish enough, like Cole Forbes and Sione Tulo.
Truly local.
I'd even been practicing that. Yes, that. Yeah. So it's like, so you complain about us not bringing in good enough players, then you complain about, then certain sections complain about young Scottish people getting given a chance. You know, it's a balancing act, and like Chloe said, I mean, the guy's proven at Sevens level, and he is very highly thought of. I'm sure I've even given him man of the match in one of the Edinburgh matches I've covered this year, if not twice, in fact. But again, it's because of the fact there is Bill Mata, Nick Haining, and even Crosby in his way, because he is quite versatile, but I think he prefers playing 8. I think I kind of see him as an 8, really.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, give the boy a chance. You know, we've sometimes been excited about people who have come over and they haven't they haven't produced, but then people we haven't heard of have become great players. You know, Finn Russell didn't just appear from nowhere, did he? You know, he had to hop in, you know, get settled in at the Warriors. Leone Nakarawa, the first couple of times I saw Nakarawa, he was a bomb scare. And then he came on, he ended up being Rugby World's Player of the Year in like 2016, 17. So, you know, give the boy a chance. He's very talented, and if you're going to be an asshole about signings, either way, then make sure you're justified in it. Give me good reasons, not just, Al Kellogg and Fraser Brown. There you go. There's 2 guys from Edinburgh. Came over, weren't getting time. Kellogg's a club legend, and Fraser Brown as well. He has over 100 caps.
He does, and yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. I'm gonna partially touch on. So Alan McDonald has in our secret super squirrel secret Hudan fans page on Facebook. We have for Patreons only, so pay your money and you can get into the group. It's well cool. Alan has hands in the ruck regarding the memories of the Scotland-France game and how comprehensively we were outsung by the French fans. Now this will lead on to my hands in the ruck, so we're going to segue very. I'm doing like Doctor Strange here for those who are listening on audio here. But we're going to segue quite nicely into this. But Flower of Scotland is a great anthem, but our chants are not very good, is what Alan says. He doesn't say that. He says something else. We have either Scotland or Scotland. And that's it.
That's not how you wrote it, but never mind.
Aye.
You know I'm a pedant.
I know. We, as a pod listening forum working group, have a duty to come up with better chants.
I think I've got it here. He's like Scotland or Scotland, and that's the 2 variations of the Scotland theme.
So we have. I have to agree. Actually, we've been doing this for a wee while now. This idea of, do we need more chants for Scotland? And certainly, so we've got a couple of suggestions have popped up in the group. Ian, you've given one yourself, which was quite well received.
It's very popular around the ground as well. You just go boo at every time. Scotland win a penalty, boo.
That's it.
Great try for Scotland, boo.
Boo.
It's like when people shout Bruce at a Bruce Springsteen concert.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's like. Rona Sweeting has given us more of a Scotsman anthem, but I always enjoy a rousing chorus of "Oh Ali Price," sung to the tune of "Oh What a Night." That is quite a good one. I'm going to be honest, I quite like, every time it comes on the radio just now, I'm a bit of a fan of the old Nick Griggs on Fire. Oh, Ian's just disappearing.
Yeah.
Where are you
Hang on.
going?
No, I'm getting a cigarette.
All right. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I've started smoking again since lockdown, so that's grand. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks,
Sitting in
lockdown.
the house.
Yeah,
I'd hate that song though.
What, the
I
Nick
don't like the
Griggs on
Kings.
Fire?
Yeah, I don't like the Kings of Leon. Although
No,
I have.
no, it's not Kings of Leon, is it? It's not.
Yeah, the Six is on fire.
It's not. It's not. No.
What were you thinking? What's the Nick Griggs
The
one?
Nick Griggs on Fire. Your differences-
Gala.
There you
Oh,
go.
that's how the French got COVID. So no, that's how they got our game cancelled.
It's true. Yeah.
I thought they were. Oh, who's it? Will Grigg, was that the Wigan
The Northern Irish
and
footballer. Yeah.
Northern Ireland footballer? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought it was that, and
Yeah.
I don't like the Kings of Leon.
So we've also had, to the tune of Bread of Heaven, this is controversial, Xander Fagerson, Feed Him Biscuits Evermore, Feed Him Biscuits Evermore. I think that's good. That's got some legs. That's pretty good. Johnny
Quite
McGinty.
Ironic seeing he gets sent off against Wales.
Exactly, yeah. Johnny McGinty has come up with something along the lines of Jack van der Walt, or Vault, to the tune of Fingerbus. Johnny, you're going to have to come back on the podcast and sing this one for us.
The Vander. Wait,
Jack van der Walt to. I tried to work it out earlier on.
Surely it could just be Jack van der Walt is coming, and then we're going to need the best next bit I can come up with is from Cape Town to Linlithgow and Intercity Disco. That's quite good. That's strong. That's strong. We like that. Johnny, I think I might have to try and help you out with this. This sounds like I like this. But mind you, Van der Vault's not going to. He's going to be lesser spotted.
Lesser spotted Van der Vault, yeah. So we've got Mr. Blindside for Jamie Ritchie. That's a strong shout. Penalties turn those points from none to 3. That's bold as well. I like that. And
Darcy in the corner.
Darcy in the corner, I like that. And can we also have Duhan the only one and only.
That's beautiful. I quite like that, Johnny.
Kelly Cranky along the lines of the Scottish version. Yes. So we've had lots of good suggestions. Now, this is all fun and wonderful. And if we could get a significant portion of the Murrayfield crowd to join us in any of these, that would be very, very good. However, there has been some suggestions, and this is my hands on the rock. Can I just put it out there? Highland Cathedral is mince, right? And see if you share the video of Kelly Brown singing it. It's even more mince. I don't care, right? He's got a good set of pipes on him, but it's rubbish. And nobody's going to learn the words to it. And nobody's going to be like singing it at Murrayfield, because do you know what? We've talked about this for like probably about 8 years now, and everyone still thinks it's rubbish. So I'm sorry, but Highland Cathedral can go, and I think the term Alan used was get in the sea. I would probably suggest that is probably too good an outcome for it, and it should be in the sea with some serious concrete attached to it.
Yeah, and a lead casket.
Yeah,
even the proposed lyrics are a bit, but because it's all like Scotland, the land of birth, and all that. A lot of them, it's not. We have numbers with Africans now. If you haven't noticed,
someone mentioned that once or twice.
Yeah, it's just crap. It's it's shortbread. It's a shortbread tin song. That's what it is.
Yep.
It's the kind of thing that Andre Roux plays, and I can't stand Andre Roux and his stupid mullet. That's the only time a mullet's bad, is when it's on Andre Roux. He's big. Have you seen Andre Roux? If anyone has, if you don't have an idea who Andre Roux is, by the way, you should just check the look of this goon. Right? He's made classical music popular. Like your gran probably loves him. Yeah, but he's rubbish. And he has a big cheesy grin, and he's like, "Oh yes, here we are." Like they change the Sky Arts channel sometimes to Sky Andre Roux channel, and I'm just like, "Oh man, I'm going to watch 10 minutes of this and then snap my eyes out and peel my ears." Yeah,
Yeah. I think there's definitely an argument for us. Like, so anyone that's had a good day out in Murrayfield, it's normally the, let's say, more party-like songs that tend to get right. So we've all sang "Flower of Scotland," and we all, we've all had the hairs on the back of our necks standing tall from the 60 odd thousand singing along. But ultimately, it's those moments where you get a party tune going after a try, or it's a wee bit of music in between plays or something that you tend to remember. I don't think there's anything to be said for necessarily really encouraging the as you say, the shortbread, the kitsch. We are a bunch of haggis eating bagpipe players.
Warrior poets.
That's it. I don't think there's anything for that. And I appreciate people like that type of music and stuff, but you're talking about it's a sports game. There's going to be lots of young people there. There's going to be lots of people who would rather just listen to some Lady Gaga on the Tannoy than any of your Highland Cathedral. So my hands on the rock is Highland Cathedral, like Alan says, can get in the sea.
Yes, and a lead coffin thing with. But did you say concrete board on top of it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we could maybe use the sarcophagus they have at Chernobyl. We could we could take that and use that for another usage.
Have you ever seen the manga Ninja Scroll? It's brilliant. It's one of the best ones I've seen.
All right.
I don't know much about Japanese animation, by the way. So, but if anyone's interested, this one's a classic Ninja Scroll. So this dude's like fighting this immortal demon, and he headbutts him 40 times, and then that still won't kill him. So the guy gets back up, and he covers him in gold, molten gold, and then kicks him into some water. So there you go. He's sunk at the bottom of the sea. So that's what we can do. If we could embody Highland Cathedral, that's what we do with Highland Cathedral. Headbutt it 40 times, and then go over it and launch it into the sea. I think that's got potential. So it's kind of similar to Game of Thrones when Dany's bro gets a crown. Yeah, the thingy Targaryen. She was a Targaryen, wasn't she? Aye, Daenerys Targaryen. Her bro and Blondie Targaryen. Blondie Targaryen, yeah, and Khal Drogo gives him a crown. Pretty brutal. Yeah, gnarly. So spoilers. Yeah, it's early. It's still good. Don't worry about it. It's 10 years old. That's episode anyway. So yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you're not watched by now, tough. What do you think about this, Ian? Why is that not? No, I can see it. I reckon Andre Roux should be on Ian's potential serial killers watch list. I also agree. I reckon he goes from town to town. Just he keeps a spare double base case to stuff dead bodies in. So, Ian, what is your hands on the rock then, mate? So my hands on the rock, and I'll try not to make this overly political. It's going to be, but I don't know if any of you saw. I believe it's in the Times. It was Alex Lowe, and I can't remember the other name of the journalist. So apparently, the UK government are willing to underwrite the Lions tour. Now, bear in mind, they're not prepared to help out lots of small business owners and what have you. They are prepared to underwrite the Lions series against South Africa for it to be played here in the British and Irish Isles, viewing it as some kind of way to battle the surge in desire for Scottish independence, which just for me shows how out of touch the government are, because they might not have noticed support for the Lions isn't massive up here, particularly with the current manager in charge. But also, I feel it's hugely insulting because it's kind of like, it's like, quick, throw them a bit of circus and that'll keep them, it's like, are we not entertained? Boris Johnson standing in the middle, like Russell Crowe Gladiator, asking us if, isn't this enough? The fact that we can get behind these, this is the other thing, it's like, get behind all these wonderful British nations and also Ireland. By the way, don't forget about them, who are going to make up a large part of the squad. Is that some way to try try and appease Scottish rugby fans and believe that. I mean, there's been people complaining about mixing sport and politics with anti-racism discussions and how we shouldn't exclude LGBTQ people from the sport. John appears to have disappeared. Oh dear. Oh, he's back now. Thank God.
Yeah, I have
Good.
disappeared. I'm back though.
Good, excellent. I was worried I was going to have to see out the rest of the show, and then I wouldn't be able to cancel this. Yeah, so it's a very facile and flippant way to sort of try and think this would convince Scottish people to vote. I'd gone on a political slant. You disappearing distracted me completely. Yeah, I think there's bigger things that the money could be spent on, and to assume that that Scottish people would be appeased by such pithiness would, yeah, that's not happening for me.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think there's an element of so you're absolutely right. We've talked about this on the pod before, that actually we think that in a global pandemic, with the situation where people are losing their jobs, people are struggling to make ends meet, to suggest that we organise a colonial jolly and we subsidise it is probably not a good look at all anyway. But then to suggest in some way that it's right, so let's be absolutely frank, right? We are speaking as fans of a sport that is the minority, or a minority sport in Scotland. We're not talking about, we are not New Zealand, and even then, New Zealand have other sports that they like. Rugby is still a minority sport. We get decent crowds to internationals, but the club game is not well followed. And ultimately, you're talking about trying to appease a very small subset of the Scottish public by saying we will bring the Lions to you, because even a sellout crowd at Murrayfield, a significant chunk of them could not give two hoots about the British and Irish Lions. So it's an interesting one, and I think there's plenty of arguments that often get made about the political nature of sport, the political nature of the Lions, but it will come as no surprise to most that I am not a particularly big fan of the Lions. I think it's a waste of time, and it's a jolly.
I like it. It's like,
you like it? That's fine. I get
like
why
Lions,
people like
do you know
it.
what? Because it's like, see if it's like when you're a kid, and if you'd watched the World Cup or if you'd watched the league, or you'd make dream, fantasy. You'd make your little fantasy 11 football teams or your fantasy 15 World Cup rugby teams.
Yep.
You're like, would I have Jus van der Veeshuizen beside Andrew Mertens? I'm obviously putting Lomo in one wing, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
And that's what I quite like about it, is that you go from you can pick from these 4 countries. Sorry, 5 countries technically, because Ireland is split into 2.
Yep.
And you can make these things work, and you can be like, you don't have to have Finn Russell and Simon Zebo playing in France together to see how good they work. They could play together in a Lions shirt if Warren Gatland so decided. You've seen how well they work together. And then you go, oh man, I'd love to see Finn Russell playing beside not Ben Youngs or Conor Murray. I think that would slow him down. I don't know, someone like Thomas Williams, and that's the aspect of it I like, and the fact that after all the Six Nations rivalry and nastiness, it is a sort of combining force. You can, the Irish guy you were arguing with the other week on Twitter, probably because it's either, mind you, who's the worst on the Twitter? Is it Irish, Welsh, English, or us?
We're all
point, dreadful. But yeah, someone you're arguing with, some Irish dude you were arguing with a couple of months ago. Now all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I agree with you. I think we should be doing this and this.
Best pals,
yeah. So I like that, and it is, it is a bit of a jolly, but it's And it must be such a exhilarating experience for the players.
Yep.
Who get called up to it, and I think I enjoy it. That's the end of the day. I think I enjoy it, but do I think it should be getting played this year while all this other crap's going on? And do I think the UK government should underwrite it at the cost of millions of pounds just as some kind of experiment to try and stop those bloody jocks from leaving the union? No, I absolutely do not.
No, I think that's a fair point. And yeah, we're just sharp at the hour and a half. So I think unless there's anything else, we will call it a night at that.
Can I just say thanks to another person? He asked not to get a shout, but Alec, who sent me a nice message on Twitter and has been very generous with his praise and whatnot. A big thank you to him. And yes, we shall try and keep the good quality content going, which I'm amazed that people actually consider me to be one of the providers of that.
Well, you know what they say, Ian, there is no accounting for taste.
No, there certainly isn't. And behind every good man is a good woman. So you're the good man, John, and I'm a good woman.
Are you?
I'm a wonderful woman.
You're a wonderful. Okay, so we're probably leaving this on a slightly strange note, but yeah, don't if you've liked what you've seen tonight or like what you've heard, if you listened to this on Friday, like Big Chris was threatening to do, do feel free to subscribe on all the usual channels, give us a shout, send us your comments, send us your messages. We're always keen to hear from you guys. Also, if you are listening to this on Apple, apparently it's good if you can leave us a wee feedback. Leave us 5 stars. Come on, like we are clearly 5-star worthy. Don't leave us 1 star. That's not cool. We are woke, but we've tried to dampen that down after your feedback. So, but yeah, give us a wee shout on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. We're on Scottish Rugby blog. Come and see Ian's content. Ian writes loads of content for the blog.
Stuff from Sam Johnson and Scott Cummings tomorrow. I could actually do the Sam Johnson thing tonight, but I don't have time. I think I'll smush that into one. I think Sam Johnson, Scott Cummings.
Yep.
And then we can get Dave Cherry for Friday, and then by which point we'll know the Scotland team.
We'll know the Scotland team, exactly. So without further ado, it is goodbye from me and goodbye from Ian.
Bon nuit.